So what is up, guys? Got your boy Jet Stinger here today, and today we're back with some reverse 1999 content, and today we're here to talk about teams for Jay. Jay does release in a couple days here on the global side of the game, and as always, we're going to be making a team, talking about how well does he perform and what type of unit he is, and of course talk about what team synergizes with him the most. And I'm going to be also including a future team, this kind of talk about where he kind of works in the future. So you guys can have a little bit something to anticipate for the future. So I figured I can kind of start doing that now, because at least it kind of gives you a general idea of how well the unit progresses as we reach further and newer patches. So let's talk about that. And one final announcement that I'm going to have for this video is that I officially opened up my Discord server. It's a community server just to sit back and chat, play games, and all that good stuff. I might start maybe doing some content revolving around the people that do join the Discord. So if you can join the Discord, say hi, what's up, and just come chat with me. Hey, it'll be all good and fun. And anywho, let's get right into it. Let's talk about some teams for your boy Jay. Alright, so this first team is going to be about building up stacks of burn using pretty much all three of the main characters, of course, three being Jay, to, of course, stack up to high amounts of burn and pretty much never really fall off from the 15 mark point, which is what you need for Spaldia's ultimate, which of course gives her a extra boost of critical damage. So that is going to be something that you can definitely run here. Now, for the last slot, you can run Kakania, but there are also some other considerable options. You could run, some other way of getting crit rate buffs to Spa, so you can have a better shot to crit her ultimate. I mean, I do stand on the theory that Spa's crit naturally is pretty good even at P0, especially if you buff before her attack. But if you want just extra insurance, you can look to get a crit rate buffer here. You can run Semmel for that very same reason. You can run Vila technically, because she does also buff up crit rate. There's also Merc, who can also buff up crit rate as well. There's a lot of units you can technically run in this last slot, just so if you wanted to have the safety for Spaldia. I mean, mine is P5, so I technically wouldn't need it. But if you're at P0, which is what I'm mostly recommending this team as, is a P0 consideration, then you can maybe consider run someone for crit rate, just so you can have a better shot at getting crits with Spot, of course. But of course, Spaldia is one of the main units that's going to be the driver of this team, which is going to be the DPS. The big reason why I recommend Spot, because on any burn team, she pretty much flourishes, of course, with the help of Isolde, because Isolde, of course, can lower critical defense, which is going to be fantastic, but also giving the ability to give burn stacking on everyone. So, of course, this makes her burn stacks even more higher than what she can already apply, and other applicable partners could put up more stacks, and the same could also be said for Jay, because Jay also puts up stacks of burn. So the whole core concept is just to really stack up a bunch of burns and then let Spaldia kind of chip away at the enemy using her attacks, and then fire off a dangerously strong ultimate, which of course can give you extra 80% crit damage. This is at P5, by the way. This is what P5 looks like. But P0, you will have 80% critical damage, and then you'd be all good to go just to fire off strong ultimates from there. So that's really just the whole core concept. You have Isolde for the ability to, of course, give everyone burn. She has the ability to lower critical defense, lower reality defense, and of course 75% damage delta bonus, 25% from her special stat count, and the extra 50%, which comes from her ultimate, which is effectively arousing morale. So that's really going to be that. Kakania is going to be there just to act as a sustainability extra. She's extra sustain that you can run if you would like to. You don't have to run Kakania. I think she's probably the most flexible unit. You can opt to even run whatever you want. Like, for example, I did mention Merc, because again, Merc has the ability to give you crit rate, so that is something that you can actively look to do. You can run even... You can even run Ulu here. You can even technically run Ulu here, because Ulu does actually provide you with more stacks of burn. If you really wanted to go like full deep dive in on the whole burn concept and just really stack up as much as you can and just keep the enemies at high stacks of burn, so you don't have to really worry about micromanaging it, which technically with Jay, Isolde, and Spaldia, you probably wouldn't really need to. But if you just want the extra safety, Ulu's not a terrible option, because Ulu effectively gives everyone 3 stacks at the start of every turn due to inheritances. She also has the ability to grant damage delta up, which can be doubled to 40% if there are 15 more stacks to burn, which again further incentivizes you to reach that 15 milestone. But thankfully, It's if enemies. So basically, if anybody hits the 15, she can give you that 40% damage bonus, which is pretty nice, and then give you damage taken minus 15%, which actually helps out Jay, just to, you know, have him take a little less damage overall. So I mean, I guess that's kind of cool too. But I mean, for considerable options, it really doesn't matter what you want to run here, as long as you're not really colliding with Jay's shield, which would be like someone like Ezra, for example, who would be kind of colliding with his shield, so it wouldn't really be the greatest idea. I mean, you could still use them to plant mushrooms to give critical damage bonus, which actually is something that Spahothiya would enjoy. But at the end of the day, it's not like it's a direct necessity in that type of field. But you can use whatever you want in that last slot. 6 is also pretty valuable. It really just depends on what you feel most comfortable with, best what you have on your account. Again, Kakania is fairly new, so a lot of people may not have her, despite her being very good, as kind of being a glue piece to a lot of teams. But if you're really just looking for an ideal burn specific team, then you can go Spoth, Isode, Jay, and then your last can be whatever you want. You can even throw a healer if you want to. The cool thing about this is that you're not really looking for Jay to deal a lot of damage. You're really just looking for him to be the sustain and to be, you know, just kind of giving that extra stack of burn control, so therefore it's easier for Spahothiya to effectively nuke. So that's going to be that. But that's going to be the first team that we're looking at today, which is again basically a team that's built to all around burn and just to stack up to high as you can, so Spahothiya can hit those continuously high ultimates. But anyway, let's go and take a look at the next team. Alright, so this is going to be the second team that is going to be featured in today's video, and this team is going to be basically a DPS team that's really meant to beat the content before the content beats you, because when you play with Jay and you're looking to deal like kind of like DPS numbers with him, you ideally want to put him in a situation where his HP can stay low, because that is how his damage multipliers work. The lower his HP is, the stronger his overall damage becomes. So if you really need that type of damage bonus, if you really wanted to use him with specific damage teams, then you need to have a certain backbone of units that's going to help him in that regard. And it's basically meant to just be used. I think this team will work really good in certain cases like UTTU, Limbo. There are certain mains where this team actually does work when the damage isn't particularly high, but it's ultimately up to you on how you can pilot the team. But I do think this is a really good team for, you know, just the general concept of figuring out how I can deal DPS with Jay. So let's talk about each character and what they bring to the team specifically, starting with Kakania. Kakania, of course, is going to be the unit that we all love to run in our sustained focus teams, because she is the unit that's going to help mitigate damage, because she's going to be taking damage to herself. She also has the ability to heal herself, which is going to be actually important for this type of team, since we don't have a real active healer, so to speak, outside of herself. So she can act quote unquote as the healer for herself, but she can't heal other teammates. She can only heal herself with the use of her buff card, which can buff up to 40% of her HP, which is actually pretty good, because you need her to have a pretty decent amount of HP so she can continuously taking that damage without worrying about dying from, just taking all that damage. So that's a really good thing there. Of course, she can also help in kind of chipping away enemy with her empathy, so that's a really good thing there. Next up is Semmel. Semmel is kind of the glue to this team too, because Semmel is a unit that actively drains your HP with the use of her ultimate, and whenever she buffs the person with her effective means effect. So whenever she grants the target fresh blood, they lose 5% of their current HP whenever they perform an action. So that is going to help Jay lose HP a little bit more quicker to allow him to achieve higher damaging numbers. And with her ultimate effect, allied characters will get extra damage bonus for every 10% of their missing HP. So the lower your HP, the more damage bonus that you're going to be able to do. This also applies to Semmelweis herself. So the whole core comment of this team is for both Jay and Semmel to kind of deal effective damage while the buff is active, which is really cool. That's a really cool concept. Now Necro is also non-replaceable, and let me tell you why. It's for her specific buff only. If you guys don't know, Necro gives a up to 50% damage bonus, 50% at P5, but 30% at P0. But if you have her P5, she gets 50% damage bonus, which is really, really strong, which stacks on top of other applicable bonuses because there are 2 different multipliers in there. But Necro also gives you a stack of prayer. Now, if you do not die while this effect is active, then this effectively acts as a nice heal, which you can also combine with a cube that can provide an AoE heal, which can technically allow you to act as kind of a little bit of a healer for the team, so long as you're able to really get a lot of moxie to Necro. But in the event that someone dies, right, if Jay dies, if Kakanya dies, if Semo dies, then she can then reapply the stack of prayer to them, thus allowing the team to basically be immortal. So the only time that this doesn't work is if Necro herself dies. If Necro dies, then she can't reapply prayer. No, she can only apply it on the first cast of her ultimate, and then that's it. Once she dies and that prayer goes away, she can't reapply it to herself. So you can't make the entire team immortal, but you can make the other 3 of your teammates effectively immortal this way. So if Jay dies, if, you know, Kakanya, Semo, if any of those die, then you can simply just pop her ultimate. Of course, enjoy the free extra damage for the rounds that it's active, but then they're going to be right back into the prayer status, effectively doing the exact same thing that they were trying to do already, which is dealing damage at low HP numbers. So that's effectively why this team works. Now, this team isn't as flexible as the first team. There's not really too many options that you can kind of throw to kind of make the team better or worse, because everyone here is really used for their specific niches. So not really too many units. Even in the future, they don't really make too many opportunities to change this team around from what you would see from future units onward. So it's pretty much just this team that's going to be the glue for this type of thing. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be the second team for Jay. Now let's take a look at the final team. Alright, so this is going to be the final team in the video, and this is going to be the team that's featured around Jay and Babel's new buffs. If you guys don't know, as of patch 2.3, Babel was buffed, and so was Eternity. But Babel was buffed, and that's going to be the cornerstone of this team. So let's talk about what she got. Now, Babel, if you don't remember my video, has the ability to repair shields over their initial amount. And she can do this on a dime. She can do this whenever an ally is either attacked or whenever someone implies the field to put up a shield, and she can actively repair over it to make it stronger. She also has the added bonus of providing crit rate, which stacks on top of Semo's own ability to provide 15% crit rate for action when a person is buffed with the fresh blood effect. So giving Jay a little bit of extra crit rate, you know, not bad. Effectively 30% crit rate, I believe, which is not bad at all. But the really cool thing about the synergy between Jay and Babel is that it effectively puts you in a situation where your shield should never actually break. And that basically means you're kind of effectively immortal in a way. And the really cool thing about this too is that Eternity was buffed too to also allow for further HP boosting, and she also can drain HP and also provide bonuses as well when HP is at a lower amount too. So Eternity can also help, but this is actually kind of a flexible spot. The whole core is actually going to be like Jay, Babel, plus whatever you can really fit. Semo and Eternity don't necessarily have to be in the team. It's more so just Jay and Babel. Those are the 2 of the units that you need the most. You need Babel because of her Euphoria effects, which is the buffs that she received as a patch 2.3. And you can run whatever you want. For example, you can run like future units like Anjo, for example, because Anjo can link off with someone and she can act as an active DPS of your team, or also provide sub DPS opportunities as well while also chipping with Jay. You can run other active debuffers like Shemaine, who was also buffed. You can run Jutien. You can run Isolde. You can run 6. You can even technically throw Vila in there too for heal support, for crit rate and critical damage buffing. There's a lot of options you can actually throw into this team to actually make it really effective. But the whole core of this team is basically just so that you have an effectively unbreakable shield that's being constantly repaired by Babel, while Jay is going to be already at a low amount of HP. Of course, Semo can help accelerate that effect. That's why I still do recommend Semo. But then you just go from there. Then you just start hammering away with the damage, and then again you can use Eternity for respective bonuses at low HP as well, which of course was further buffed. And you can also use whatever you want in this particular slot to make it effectively better. But that's really just how the core of the team is. It's just be in an unbreakable shield situation. You pretty much are kind of free to kind of control what you can provide for the team, and then you just kind of go in with your own respective damage. I do think that the version with Anjo does work a little bit better, because Anjo of course can act as the DPS for the team, which I do like running Anjo as DPS. Honestly, I do think Anjo's sub DPSing, even main DPSing opportunity is actually really strong, because she is a limited character anyway. But I mean, if you really don't want to pull for someone like that in the future, that's ultimately up to you. But yeah, that's pretty much just the core concept of this team. It's just you're gonna have a situation where you're an infinite shield. You have, you know, counterattacks firing off the wazoo because of Jay. You have Babel, who can also effectively also do counterattacks as a roll kit, but also act as a shield repairer. Also provide you a crit rate. You have crit rate coming from Simmel, and you have active bonuses coming from Eternity at low HP as well. But that is going to be the final team in this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you have any ideas for teams for Jay, let me know in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.